Good evening, Mr. Hlengwa. Thank you very much for joining us, and such a tragic evening, and we really appreciate that you are able to come and talk to us. You're a member of the IFP, but we know that respect for this man went absolutely across the board, didn't it?
Oh, most definitely. Mr. Makwethu was a true patriot, and we've lost a patriot. We have lost a true servant of the people. We could have full trust and confidence in the work of the AG because he led from the front with integrity. And so his passing is an absolute shock to all of us because we expected so much more from him. He still had a contribution to make, and this is certainly not the farewell we had envisaged and anticipated, and it is indeed a sad day for all of us. And on behalf of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, which worked very closely with the AG, because our work in the main is based on the audit outcomes, we extend our deepest and most sincere condolences to his family, his friends, and the auditing profession. And of course, as you've pointed out, on behalf of the IFP as well, I'd like to offer the same condolences. And the task on our hands now is to do justice to this great legacy, which entrenched accountability and honesty. And it is one of those things we need to take a moment for national reflection as to how we're going to actually proceed moving forward. There's a lot of the rot in that has been found. The corruption has been pervasive, and he never shied away from telling us those honest truths. He forced us to confront them, and he forced us to know them. And when he presented the facts, he left it to us to actually take his work forward, and that it can never be more pronounced than it is tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm remembering the work that he did at the UIF as they were looking at just the looting of funds there, and how that work actually had also even led to some of the officials being fired because he felt we need to strengthen the systems at the UIF. I want to ask you, Mkhuleko, having interacted with him through the committee that you chair, what are some of your fond memories? We were speaking earlier to the chairperson of the Committee on the Auditor General, and we're speaking about how he was quite a serious man, very professional, clear and concise, but he could also crack some jokes at times.
He could, but interestingly enough, I was speaking to one media house today who were actually preparing a tribute to him in terms of the work that he had done. And so they asked for an anecdote, and I think what I learned was he was very long-winded. And,
yes.
You could lose sight of the fact that he was dealing with serious business if you had a short attention span. And most people, he got to most people with that. But at the heart of it was a man who went beyond the call of duty and chose to teach and lecture constructively those whom he appeared before. So it was not just a matter of reporting, but he took it further. He wanted to teach and enable you to understand the issues and their seriousness and break them down to an understandable level, because he understood that not everybody was an auditor. That was very commendable, and he was very patient, sometimes with, the political rhetoric and jargon that characterizes the space in which he had to work in. But he was able to rise above the politics, and he entrenched the independence of that office and gave trust to it. I give particular tributes to him for having been able to mentor young people. One of the things that we do in the committee is to receive briefings from the audit leads and portfolio managers of the various departments and entities. And he had full trust in the people that were working there, particularly young people in the AG's office, and would dispatch them to Parliament to come and stand their own and be able to answer the difficult questions. That is somebody who has actually done a skills transfer and is testament to his leadership. He was able to delegate accordingly, and he, therefore, what he did not become the institution as an individual, and he ensured that it would be viable and sustainable even when he had left, just that we had not anticipated that he would leave at this point. And so that was the nature of the man, calm in his demeanor, humble and respectful of everybody, but all.
Oh no, have we lost him?
I think we have. I think we have gone on hold for that, but really some beautiful tributes. Oh, Mr. Hlengwa, you're back with us. You were just paying tribute to what I was hearing, an example of incredible ethical leadership. And that brings us to where we are today. You know, I know that at Scopa you would have heard him talk about the realities of how his auditors were often under threat, going into municipalities where corruption was rife, their lives were threatened. And this is clearly a man who, as you say, inspired other people to do their very best. Do we have an ethical leadership deficit in this country, or are things changing?
Well, there is two sides of one coin. It's unfortunate. On one hand, you've got South African loving citizens who are patriotic in their outlook and endeavors, and Mr. Makwethu was one such individual. On the flip side of that South African coin, you have got the corrupt cabal, the corrupt element who are hell-bent on destroying this country. We need more, of course, of the Kimi Makwetus to stand up and be forthright and be frank, and not to be intimidated. The culture of intimidating auditors is one which we take very, very seriously. And the law enforcement agencies need to step up their efforts to push back on those frontiers, because these are men and women who are committed to good governance, who are enablers to the system and to correct the wrongs which currently prevail as things stand. And so, yes, on one hand, there is a deficit, but in individuals like Mr. Makwetu, we can confidently say there was a surplus because he embodied it beyond the call of duty. And so we have to honor his legacy by ensuring the safety of the auditors. We have to make sure that we respond positively to the things that the auditors give us, because they just tell the issue as it is. It's not their information, it's not their corruption, it's what they find. And we need to respond to that. And so I think it's quite tragic that intimidation and threats happen. But at the same time, Mr. Makwethu inspired those auditors that despite all odds to wake up every day and go into those sometimes very difficult spaces in the cause of national duty. I can say without any fear of contradiction that this is a man who died with his boots on, because even when he was not feeling well, he appeared before our committees. Just 2-3 weeks ago, he was before us in Scopa and taking us through the issues. He did not allow, his illness to stand in the way of the patriotic duty which he did. He did trust and justice to the confidence that was placed in him to lead a Chapter 9 institution. And I say to him, well done, good and faithful servant. He did very, very well, and his example is one worthy to emulate. Obviously, the work has to go on, and now is to give full support to Mr. Kani Maluleke, the incoming Auditor General, who was his deputy. Of course, she will take up those responsibilities on the 1st of December, and I'm quite certain that as part of the work she will do moving forward is to carry the legacy of the man she deputized, but of course understanding that she is a leader in her own right with her own skills, knowledge and expertise, which are actually competent enough to fill the office. And so we've got full confidence that the institution of the Auditor General is going to live on to see another day, another year, and well into the future, because the incoming AG is just as capable, and a South African who is equally a patriot. And so she must now carry on her shoulders that institution, but of course under the cloud and weight of the sudden passing of Mr. Makwethu. And so we believe that not all hope is lost during this really difficult time.
Well, thank you so much, Mkhuleko Hlengwa, for talking to us on such a very difficult evening, but such a powerful message and such a wonderful tribute. Thank you very much. Of course, that's the Standing Committee on Public Accounts Chair.